Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I have some exciting news for you guys. This YouTube channel is about to get a lot more interesting. This channel has been about educational topics in software engineering, but some of the recent chaos in the real world has started to bleed into my daily life as a software developer. As of today, I have almost completely run out of money. So over the next 30 days, I'm going to make one YouTube video every day in the hopes of getting my YouTube revenue up from the $300 that it was last month up to as much as hopefully $1,000. I'll be providing regular updates to show how my revenue changes throughout this process. So if that sounds interesting to you, be sure to follow along. My content will still be related to software engineering, but I'm going to branch out a bit more. I'll talk about myself, my business, and some of my daily struggles. These videos will either document a heartwarming story of success or the tragic downfall of a once promising professional. Either way, it's guaranteed to be amazing content, so you can't lose by subscribing. For about the last 10 years, I've been running a one-person software consulting business. When I first started 10 years ago, my original goal was to grow my business and hire employees, but this hasn't happened at all. Instead, clients consistently pay late or don't pay at all. Finding clients is easy, but finding good clients is next to impossible. I used to think that this was bad luck, but now I think it's a statistically significant pattern. Recently, I got a partial payment from my main client, but he's still late on the rest. There's also a lot less work in the future pipeline as well. To top all of this off, there's a very real possibility that I'm going to be renovicted soon. The building that I live in was recently bought by a professional renovation landlord. In fact, he's actually become somewhat famous in Ontario for buying up all sorts of buildings, and he also has a reputation of coercing elderly pensioners to give up their apartments as well. In Ontario, there are laws against renoviction, and you're supposed to give a right of first refusal, so if the tenant wants to move back in after the renovations are finished, they're supposed to be given the option to do so. However, a common practice is to simply move in a new tenant, and then the tenant board will not evict the new tenant, and at that point you're basically out of luck. You're supposed to just pester the landlord until you can get back into somewhere. At that point, you've already moved out and moved all your stuff somewhere. Normally this wouldn't be a problem, but Canada's in the middle of a housing crisis. Given my unstable business income, I'm actually skeptical about whether I would even be able to get approved to rent an apartment elsewhere. So if I do get renovicted, I may end up having to leave Ontario. My next door neighbor has already received a notice informing him that he needs to vacate the apartment. The landlord does offer people a few $1,000s to move out early, but that doesn't really go very far in this housing market. About a week or two after my neighbor got this notice to move out, he started getting sewage backed up into his bathtub. Maybe that was just a coincidence, but it seems kind of suspicious. Given all of this, there may come a time in the near future where I'm technically homeless for a brief period, and this will affect my ability to produce videos. Now, having said all that, you don't need to worry about me. I do have family that I can rely upon, and there are a few people around that I can probably just couch surf with. Now, a question that a lot of you are probably thinking is, why don't you just get a job? That's a good question, and there's a lot of reasons for that, and I want to go into some of them in the videos that I do. One reason, of course, is that this is a terrible job market. Even when the market is good, the process of applying for software jobs is absolutely terrible. Back in the day, I remember when I had a job interview with Twitter, they put me through 6 rounds of interviews and then eventually told me they didn't have any positions for me. Canada also has terrible job opportunities compared to the US. If I was going to do a full-time position, the place to do that would be down in the US. The problem with going down to the US is I have to get a visa, and then I have to move all my stuff down there, and I'm just not in a position to do that right now. Another reason is even if I had a full-time job offer at one of these tech companies, I don't think I'd take it. I already spent time doing 2 internships at Amazon and 1 at Nvidia, so I know what it's like to work at these big tech companies, and that's not really a future I want to return to. Another important question that I've asked myself is, what exactly am I doing with my life? Almost every piece of software that I've ever written for any of these tech companies has been a complete waste of time. In almost every case, the company either abandoned the project, canceled it early, the company failed, they ended up rewriting software for no reason. I want to make meaningful contributions to society instead of rewriting the same garbage app in the latest JavaScript framework over and over again. That's why I think that doing some of these videos might be more meaningful to society in the long run. Here's a few examples of the things I can talk about. I personally met Jensen Huang, the CEO and co-founder of Nvidia Corporation. I actually went to his house and spent the afternoon there because he invited all the interns there one day. I was actually a part-time professor for a while at a local college called Conestoga College. Conestoga College is in the news a lot these days for various reasons, and I have some opinions on those subjects. Also, I survived as an independent business for 10 years. Even though my business has not prospered throughout that time, I've still survived. If you're thinking about doing exactly what I'm doing, then I may have some advice on what to do or not to do. I've also had a lot of real-world business experiences that you definitely won't get at a full-time software job. I was once owed money, and technically still am, by a guy who's worth $500 million. I ended up putting in a court claim to try and recover some of this money, and that was a whole ordeal with lots of interesting learnings. I also did 6 internships back in the day at my undergrad at Waterloo. I also want to do more in-depth videos to talk about why software consulting is kind of not a good business. I also have a bit of experience with paid marketing campaigns, things like Facebook ads, Google AdWords, LinkedIn ads. I can also talk about business stuff like law, contracts, accounting. So back to my situation. It's worth asking, what is the plan in general? For now, I'm going to stay in this apartment as long as I can and fight the rent eviction process. Over the next 30 days, I'm going to make a ton of YouTube videos, and hopefully they'll all go viral, and then I'll become a millionaire, and then I can make a YouTube video explaining how to become a millionaire. The client who owes me money will still probably pay eventually, but that money is not in my bank account right now, so I can't count on it. If all that doesn't work, then I will probably have to move my stuff into a storage unit, and if that happens, I'll start thinking about maybe moving into one of those 25-person basement apartments in Brampton. If that doesn't work out, then I will couch surf with friends and family. And if that doesn't work, then I will move into my mom's basement. And if that doesn't work, I will move into a cabin in the woods, and I will make the craziest videos about Linux, mathematics, and engineering. So a few other housekeeping items. I will try to keep doing the weekly YouTube shorts, but I can't promise it because I'll probably be overloaded with this one video per day, but I'll try. The goal over the next 30 days will be to get my ad revenue up to $1,000 a month, and I'll be providing regular updates on my progress towards achieving or not achieving this goal. So that'll probably be maybe once every 3 days or so. I'll try to show my analytics at least once. Some of you have probably seen my terminal-based video game. That is something that I still plan to keep working on, and I'll maybe do one dedicated update video on that over the next 30 days. Also, it's important to mention, don't feel bad for me. This is the life that I chose when I decided to reject my full-time offers 10 years ago and start this business here in Canada. So as for the rest of today, I'm going to edit this video, and then later tonight there is a meeting for tenants of this building where I guess they're going to organize some of the tenants together and try to fight this rent eviction process. So I may have more updates on that later.